Hey everyone, welcome back to more Rogue Legacy 2 discussions. Today, I want to talk about passives. So, this is just after the Dragon's Vow update. We have a lot passives were added to every class, and I want to talk through them. So when I think of passives, I don't just think of their passive ability, I think of their health and their mana values, because those are also passive, because that's also a thing that is decided by the class, not by any of the traits, not by any of the weapons. With health, you will see either great health, average health, or low health, no exceptions between these three. With mana, you'll either say great mana or good mana. There are two exceptions. Mage has incredible mana, and Ronin has average mana, which is hilarious because average mana is actually the lowest mana in the game, so a little issue there. I'm sure they'll fix it before release, but just thought it was kind of funny. So anyways, I'm going to talk about each class and talk about my thoughts on each of their traits and their passives and such, and how that fits in the game. So the first, of course, is Knight. Knight has great health and mana, which is basically the best of both worlds. It just passively has the best passive stats. And with that, its passive could be much weaker than the others, because it has such strong passive stats. Its passive is to give yourself plus 5% weapon crit chance. Now, I understand where 5% weapon crit chance. I actually think this is a little... The purpose of the Knight, in my mind, is that it's the class that is the all-rounder of no matter what path you take, the Knight is always good. The Veteran style kind of pushes the Knight more towards a dexterity build, because it has to do with weapon critical hits. I think that the Knight's passive, one, it can be weaker while still being a strong class, so I'm okay with them gating a weaker passive. And two, it should be a passive that works no matter what your build path. If you're intelligence, focus, strength, dexterity, or vitality, whatever build path you have, the Knight is still a strong passive class. And I want it to just be one that works in all of those. And the simple solution in my mind is plus 25% resolve. If instead of Veteran being plus 5 weapon crit chance, Veteran is plus 25% resolve, it makes this just character that, if you want to focus on a specific theme, as you find relics in the castle, you can focus on that specific theme because you have more resolve to spend for those things. How important is this? This one is, of the passives, I'm going to rate how important these changes are. This one's not very important. The Knight is great as is. They might justify this, the Veteran weapon crit chance, by the grounds that it gives people an introduction to critical hits, and that excitement of when they're playing their first character of they swing and that explosive little show of this was a critical hit shows up there. Oh, that's cool. Like, I understand why this is important for new players. So if they decide that importance is more important, then so be it. I think it's okay as is. If they want to keep that, then let them keep it. Next is Valkyrie. So this one, I do have a discussion with their passive. So they got low health and great mana, so their mana remains, but their health just went from great to low. Just to put this into perspective, this is less health than the Ranger. This is as much health as the Mage. Low health is the lowest health amongst classes. So, and when you look at its weapon and trait, its weapon doesn't exactly support it, so it needs a much stronger trait than the Knight has. Now, its trait is currently Battleborn, plus 5% magical crit chance, and 10% magic crit damage. So in other words, this forces a focus build, which I always, unless the class is specifically like down a certain branch, I don't think it should force something like that. And Valkyrie is down the strength-based branch, so this even makes less sense. It seems like it's kind of a mirror to Knight, where this one gives plus 5% weapon crit. This one gives plus 5% magic crit. And they added, oh, we have much lower health, let's add the crit damage as well. I still don't like it. Even if we want a focus-based build, I don't think Valkyrie should be it, and I don't think this is how we'd want to do it anyways. We'll get to that later, but right now, we just need a stronger trait for Valkyrie. We sacrifice a lot of health to be a Valkyrie. And the perfect trait is actually one that fits with the lore of Valkyrie. With the name Battleborn, it even fits. I think the trait should be similar to like Soulsteal or Lifesteal. I think the trait should be whenever you defeat an enemy, you gain back 1% of your max health. Maybe 2% if you want it really strong, but I definitely don't see it going higher than 2%. The Valkyrie comes in early on, has a very low health, and does force you to get in the front line. The Valkyrie was strong when it was first created, but since then they've reduced the damage of their spear, they've reduced the abilities of their deflect. It does not deflect Namal lanterns. It's not nearly as strong as it used to be. And with all those weaknesses, they never really gave it strengths. And I think life gain early on, 1% max health, maybe even 2% max health if they want to push it, really makes it a different kind of fighter, in which it starts with low health, and whenever it hits things, and like it has to fight to heal up in a way that other classes don't. And just starting that off early on, I think is really cool. As we get better lifesteal and soulsteal, it kind of goes down. It kind of goes down in like noticement, but also the lower health of the Valkyrie goes down in notice. So, but early game, I think this gain the plus 1% or plus 2% max health regain on a kill is a great way to show that it's a Valkyrie. It's it's not just a Lancer. It's actually it's a master of combat. It's an angel of war. I think that would be necessary to just make the Valkyrie feel like a Valkyrie. And this one I think is important. Of the changes, this is probably the most important change I'd like to see. Barbarian. So Barbarian has great health and good mana, and its passive, the passive doesn't feel like anything. The passive is plus 20% vitality, which really could just have been shown by having incredible health and then not having a passive at all. The only difference between those two is that vitality is used in some runes, such as the Retribution rune, I believe it's called. But the one that reflects damage whenever you get hit. And I think looking at that is actually how we would do this. The Barbarian's trait recovers whenever you get hit, and I would love to kind of emphasize the idea that the Barbarian gets hit and doesn't care. I would just add to this trait plus 20% vitality. Maybe we could even reduce it to plus 10% vitality, but I'd like to add it plus 1 Retribution rune. Just having that additional rune so that even if you don't find it yet, just this character, whenever he gets hit, he hits the enemy that hurt them. Just that little leverage of saying, hey, I have a big tanky body, and if necessary, I could just charge you. I think that really fits into the feel of a Barbarian. Again, this isn't too important. I still stand by each passive you should feel the passive in some way. And you don't feel the Barbarian's passive unless you have the Retribution. It just feels like having incredible health, which by all means is great, but I don't think that's how this class should end. I think that this class should have a cooler trait. I do stand by that. The passive should be cooler. Alright, Ranger. So Rangers have average health and good mana, and they have that ranged weapon, which really makes them distinct. Their current passive is plus 5% strength and plus 5% dexterity, which increases their damage and is pretty cool. So this is one that I think could be very contentious. I do want them to have a more cool passive, and as we get further on, we will see some cool passives. In fact, let's just show the Mage has Siphon, so all weapons apply mana reach. That's a huge distinction. Chef has all weapons apply burn. That's a huge distinction. They don't all have to be that strong, but I would love something that's like distinct in some way. Valkyrie gaining the plus 2% health does have that distinction. Barbarians having the when I get hit, I hit you back is a pretty cool distinction. Knights, as I was saying, the plus 25% resolve, they are built to not be distinct. That's kind of their theme. And the resolve allows you to make it distinct in your own way as you move on. So the Ranger, I would want something distinct. This one doesn't need to be changed, and my change could be suspicious. Someone could very much disagree with me. There is a relic called the Telescope, which makes it so that whenever you aim with spells, it slows down time. I would like the Telescope to be the Ranger's passive. I would like instead of Hunter be called Sharpshooter, and you have the Ranger's passive be basically a telescope effect on your weapon as well as spells. So whenever you're aiming, time slows down. I'm not sure how that feels. I do not play Ranger too much. I would not know how that would change the flow of the fight if every time you press the attack button, time slows down. That is something I would like to test before I just say this is how it should change. I would like a cooler passive than just plus 5% strength and dexterity, and that is a way that feels distinct for the Ranger. I'm not sure if that's going to work out in the end, but I am interested in trying it out if people can listen and hear. I would really like to try that. That being said, I'm not going to force it. This is not one that needs to be changed. It's a pretty strong class even without. Alright, Mage. Low health, incredible mana, weapon applies mana rage. Beautiful. This is what a Mage looks like. Not only does it have the greatest amount of mana of all the characters, no matter what weapon you have, it applies mana leech, so you can actually get mana. If you get a Mage with a Labrys, which usually has issues with regaining mana, you can then, even when you're spinning to winning and you're swinging up in the air, you still apply mana leech, so you still gain mana back. Like, this is a beautiful, no matter what happens, this Mage feels like a Mage, and I love it. Mage is perfect, no need for changes on Mage. My only change I considered was with the weapon, and as I played around with the weapon, I think it's fine. I think it's fine the more I played around with it. Alright, Chef. So Chef, low health, great mana, your weapons apply burn. So, this is great. This definitely makes the Chef super unique. I actually think the problem with this is that its passive is so strong, we actually need to reduce the mana. We need to bring it from great mana to good. The Chef just is very powerful in, like, weapons applying burn is a huge effect. That's a 55 resolve costing relic, and it's just given to them freely. That's powerful. This is a very powerful class, and it's been showing that for a long time. And I think reducing this class can actually use its mana reduced, and then it's pretty good. Like, I think that's just all that needs to happen with this class. There is one other change though, and once you make this change, we could probably bring the mana all the way down to average or something like that. The Frying Pan. So, you can always, when you're a different class, you could possibly find the weapon of another class or the trait of another class where you are. The Frying Pan is a very weak weapon. It has a very slow attack. It restores only 10 mana. Well, it reflects mid-sized projectiles. It's very slow, and it deals the lowest amount of damage, even with the skill crit. Like, when you get the skill crit, the Frying Pan, in my experience, has dealt about as much damage as a sword at swinging at half the speed. This weapon is very bad, and that is my issue. That is my main issue. I would like something to improve this weapon, and if we improve this weapon, we do have to weaken the Chef. We would have to reduce the mana from great to low or to good, if not even average. And with the Frying Pan, the simplest solution is instead of getting 10 mana whenever you hit, gain 20 mana. It swings half as fast as the sword. Making it 20 mana makes it at least you can use mana with it. Maybe we just do it 15 and we make it whenever you reflect a projectile, you gain mana as well. That's also an option. One thing that I really was excited about, the way that the boxer's gloves are the ones that have combo. If the Frying Pan had a body buffet effect, so like the boxer's glove has the boxing bell effect, if the Frying Pan had the body buffet effect where enemies could drop meat, I think that would be an amazing way to make the Frying Pan uniquely strong with a Chef and encourage people to use the Frying Pan instead of the bag of spoons like I do all the time. I think that's pushing the weapon a little too strong. If they do that, I think they could justify keeping the damage low, if not even reducing the damage. Like, I would love to see the Frying Pan to be more viable as a weapon, is basically my thing. The Chef has all its strengths in its passives, and this weapon is very weak to mitigate it. I would like this weapon to be useful. Alright, Duelist. Average health, good mana, cast your talent grants charge. Really, this class is built around its talent. Taking Show Off with a new talent kind of feels bad, but if we made the Show Off any stronger, it would make the Duelist roll too powerful with the Duelist. So, I do love the idea of, it is a unique talent, so I do appreciate it. Average health seems fine. Like, overall, I think the Duelist is in a fine place. There's not really any way that you could change it without breaking things open, so I think we just keep Duelist as is. It feels a little iffy, but when you have to, like, use when you switch out talents and stuff, but I think that's fine. I think classes are generally built around their talents. Duelist talent is a little strong. If we make the Duelist talent weaker, we can make its passive stronger, but I don't really want to deal with changing the Duelist talent right now. Alright, Assassin. Low health, good mana, plus 10% super crit chance. And I love this because this makes the assassin uniquely the crit fisher. I'm looking for critical hits. My weapon helps me get critical hits. And the thing is, Equal Eye is built in such a way that if you want to go focus build, this also works with focus crits. This works with intelligence crits, and that's awesome. I love that part about it. I would actually increase this to great man. My change, I was originally going to say increase from low health to average because of how close they need to get. I think the actual change should be increase good mana to great and leave the low health. Make it so that if you want to do a focus-based crit build, allow the assassin to be a focus-based crit build. And even then, no change necessary. No change necessary whatsoever. Great class as is. Great class as is. Gunslinger. Low health, great mana, and they're suave. So the Gunslinger is way off into the intelligence side, and but they're usually like a weapon-based class. So their change is that their weapons deal plus 15% bonus intelligence damage. I think that's fantastic. I think that's like the perfect way to do this. So no matter what weapon you have, you're still an intelligence build. This is one of those that you don't really feel it. Unless you're going heavy intelligence yourself, you will not feel it. And that might encourage this to be changed, and then just make it so that the gun applies intelligence. I could definitely see that where the gun implies intelligence as its theme, and then we get a different passive. But I would not even know what the passive would be for the Gunslinger. So I think just keeping it as is fine. What could be a passive? Something with reload, but then if you switch your weapon, it kind of fails. Yeah, I have no idea. So I'm just going to leave the Gunslinger as is. There is space if we want to mess it around, but if we make changes, they would be pretty big changes, and I'm not interested in doing that right now. I think the Gunslinger is interesting enough. Suave is a cool way of making them intelligence-based, even when you're using weapons. And yeah, just all around a cool class. Dragon Lancer. Alright, Dragon Lancer, great health, good mana, and armor, plus 20% armor. So, this has a very clear issue. So armor only blocks a certain percentage of damage, and you have to get folded runes, or there's a specific rune they can get that strengthens how much percent of damage armor can block. At just increasing 20% armor, if you've reached that percentage threshold, like if you have 1,000 armor, this brings it to 1,200 armor. And 1,000 might be enough where you're reaching the armor blocking threshold already. And this passive does nothing. So just simple change. Make it so that it gives plus 10%, 20% armor, and increases the amount of percent that armor can block by like 5%, by 8%, by 10%, by some number as well. Make it so that if you have maximum armor already, this actually improves that. Because if we're improving armor, we need to improve both sides of armor. Alright, Boxer. Deft. Great health, good mana, and deft, you are elusive, you can walk through most enemies. If you've seen my speedruns, you know how important elusive is on the final boss. Fantastic. Shows that the Boxer is distinct from the other classes. It's powerful, but it's not abusively powerful. It's abusive in the way that the Boxer is, which is perfect. It makes it so that we actually play Boxers in our speedruns, which is a fantastic way of doing it without like the class being broken. I will tell you right now, this class is not broken. It's just 2-ball is weak against the deft trait. And I love that. I love that. So I think Boxer is perfect. No need for touching it. Great health is where it needs to be. Good mana is fine. It could even go to average if you need to nerf it. But Boxer is in a great spot. Ronin. So the Ronin, so first I want to note, low health and average mana. This is the lowest that your health can be. And it's an exception in having the lowest mana of any other character. So its passive has a lot of space to be strong. Plus 20% strength. Plus 20% strength is huge. Now, I do dislike that this kind of, like, it feels like it's the weapon that's strong and not the Ronin that's strong. I know they want to do more intelligence-based Ronins, but I think with how low they have their stats, they can deal with just something that's just a raw, huge power output, and that's all it is. Makes kind of a glass cannon character. And if that's how they want to do it, I'm perfectly fine with it. Plus 20 strength, I don't feel it feels weird because it forces a build the way that I was saying other classes shouldn't have to force a build whenever they can. Ronins, I know they want to use their trait to make it more intelligence-based, and I have been using the trait, and I've been enjoying it. But yeah, huge damage. If they were to change it, I think they could do a theme of like reverse suave, like how the Gunslinger gets plus 15% intelligence to weapons. If the Ronin had plus 15% strength to their talent, and to their spells, that could be a cool way of doing it. But if they did that, they would need to buff their stats, because that is not equivalent to plus 20% strength, and it's not worth having the lowest stats. But yeah, I think this is perfectly fine as is. Definitely a bit of a glass cannon that could be abuse, but it's late enough in the run that speedrunners will not be seeing it, will not be able to abuse it. And last is Bard. Bard is kind of its own unique theme. Low health, great mana, spin, kick, stack, dance, and it's such a huge damage boost per stack. So it just... Performer just makes the Bard such a unique class in the way it maneuvers. The fact that you have to constantly use spin kicks to empower your basic attacks is like a huge way of distinguishing how Bards work. And even if you changed from the loot that has the things to spin kick off of, if you change to a gun, kicking off their head a few times, then shooting them from below you, or having a sword, learning to strike and then kick off at the same time, which can be done, it's all like really cool themes. I like the Performer trait. It really makes the Bard distinct. I would say if this class is feeling underpowered, if we really like find Performer to be abusive, we can increase the health and reduce the damage per stack. But I think right now, in a perfectly fine place, no change is necessary. But yeah, I wanted to bring that up. So for closing thoughts, a lot of them are great. Every change that I want Veteran to give me plus 25% resolve instead, so it's more well-rounded and not focusing dexterity. I want Battleborn to give me plus 1%. Whenever I kill an enemy, I gain 1% of my max health. We could increase it to 2% if we feel that's a little weak. But having low health and no way to heal it that early on, I think is wrong. Especially when you have to get close range. Valkyrie's not as strong as it used to be. Barbarian, the 20% vitality should go with a rune, a plus 1 retaliation rune, so that I can actually make use of that increased vitality in a way that this isn't just immense health. Ranger, I would like to try the telescope as a trait that works on your weapons as well. I'm not sure how that will work, but I would like to try it. Mage is fine. Chef is fine, but their frying pan could use a buff. Duelist is fine. Assassin is great. Gunslinger is great. Dragonlancer needs to have additional armor block ability to go with their armor increase, so that if you're already at max armor, this is still a valuable passive. Boxer's great. Ronin's great. Bard is great. And that's it. That's all the classes. So, there's obviously going to be a lot of discussion here. There's a lot of space for people to disagree, to agree, to come up with their own suggestions. I don't want to force my opinion on others. I just want to bring it up so that others can discuss it. Feel free to leave any discussions, any thoughts you have on these in the comments below. And I'll catch you next time. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day.